Have you ever heard of getting motivated seller leads extracted and pulled from free Facebook groups? We're going to interview Kyle where we dive deep into the secret sauce to get motivated seller leads from this free zero cost marketing channel. So if you're interested in implementing these strategies in your house buying machine, stick around. All right, everybody, I am here with Mr. Kyle Rodgers, Facebook marketing for motivated sellers. So if you're new to this concept, if you've never heard of this concept, this is the right video to be watching. How are you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. So thanks for just spending some time with us and, sharing some resources and just shed some light on kind of what this is, this Facebook, Facebook group for motivated sellers. And I understand that you are also virtual. So you have commission-based acquisition teams that help you with your real estate investing business. Is that the case?
Yeah, man. I travel the world full time while I have my team running my company for me. I just manage my managers and they run the show. So that allows me to not only have time freedom, but also location independent. Some of you guys might be wondering why I'm sitting here in my Jeep doing this interview. I'm actually on the road right now. That's the coach right there, towing the Jeep behind it, and I pulled over to make time for this interview. But I'm able to take my wife, take my two girls, and travel all across the U.S. while we're doing virtual deals, using 100% of our traffic and our leads from Facebook groups. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing. That's so awesome that you get to travel. And obviously we share that interest, that we like the virtual aspect of it. So Kyle, if it's okay with you, how did you get started in this whole real estate investing?
Well, it's about probably going on 5 years now that I jumped into it. And I've been doing door-to-door for a long time, for the majority of my career, over a decade in sales. A lot of that was door-to-door and call centers. And okay. I was just getting tired of it. I was getting tired of making only a couple $100 per sale and just being in the grind. And that I was 100% commission based anyways. So I'm like, I'm 100% commission based. Why don't I sell something that's going to make me more money than what I'm currently selling right now? And I started to rack my brain, like, what pays the most out of anything that you sell? What pays the most? And real estate. Real estate is definitely the highest paying per transaction out there, especially when you get into some of the higher end deals. And for me, that was the answer. And I started to watch some YouTube videos and stuff back then, get my YouTube education. And, that only took me so far, but I learned the basics. I found out that I can get deals done through wholesaling without ever doing any of the work myself, without putting any money down. And I thought that was incredible. So I went all in. I quit my job and I went 100% into real estate. And, for me, that was a mistake. And for a lot of people coming into this, it might not be a good idea to quit your job and just jump in if you're not ready. And I wasn't ready when I did it, man. I was struggling. It wasn't instant success for me. I was beating my head against the wall for several months. And it was rough. I went through the ringer. I was doing cold calling. I was doing driving for dollars. I started doing direct mail. In fact, I found a mentor who helped me front some of the marketing costs back at, I didn't have money to throw down towards marketing when I was first starting. So I found a mentor to kind of go in and partner with. And he was doing virtual deals and virtual flips all over Utah. So he was in Provo, Utah, but doing flips in Salt Lake, over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is my hometown, Coeur d'Alene. Okay. And then he was also doing deals in Portland, which I was living in Portland at the time when I connected with him. And he's like, I'll front the marketing costs. Let's just go all in on direct mail. He's like, I find my deals through direct mail. He's like, I think we can rock the Portland market with you behind it if we're doing this. So I'm like, all right, man. And he ends up spending $10,000 a month on this campaign. So 4 months later, $40,000 later, we didn't get a single deal from that.
Oof. Wow. Ouch.
It was painful. And the biggest reason it was painful is because I made what was it? I think it was like 10% off of any assignments that we got. But that was after marketing costs. Like marketing expenses got taken out before I got paid my commission. So that was my money too. You know what I mean? That was taking away money as anything that I would have made from deals that I had. So I remember the feeling of just being burnt out and just absolutely devastated, you know, ready to walk away forever, because I just got $0 on a $40,000 ad spend. I'm like, how does anybody do this game? But luckily for me, I was able to find a couple deals. So I just barely broke even. I put a little bit of money in my pocket. I was probably making less than the minimum wage if you were to average out the 80-hour weeks I was putting in. Like, I wasn't making much. But at least I didn't owe this guy, his name was Stuart. At least I didn't owe Stuart a bunch of money from this marketing that didn't pan out. I was able to pay him back and put a little bit of money in my pocket. So I started to reverse engineer that, and a light bulb went off. I'm like, what if I focus 100% of my attention on what works? I found a deal off of Craigslist, but I realized that most of the deals were on there were garbage. And then I'm like, I had the most luck in Facebook groups. So that's when everything flipped. I started marketing in Facebook groups, put 100% of my attention into that. And then it was like the floodgates open. Like, I had so many leads that I would have to stop posting in order to catch up to them. So completely changed everything. I learned how to go virtual because I could find the seller and the buyer using Facebook groups and do deals anywhere, which made it a lot easier. There's markets that are easier than Portland, I found. And I found out a way to find little fishing holes. So so for me, that changed everything. And I started to travel after that and live the life I wanted.
There you go. Wow, that's an amazing story. And, you know, it's funny in the sense that it's always a journey of failing towards what eventually kind of works for you, right? And so you kind of have to go through those phases. You kind of have to pay your dues. So you were looking in Craigslist, and what light bulb went up that you said, okay, I'm going to try Facebook groups? Like, did you hear from somebody else that was already doing it, or were you just like leaving no stone unturned to try and get, you know, is this something that you kind of came up with, or you saw other people doing it? Like, how did you come up with the idea? Because when I first came across your stuff, I was like, okay, sure, I'm curious, because, you know, I've never heard of this, of thinking of going to Facebook groups. But, you know, at that point when you and I connected, you already had all the systems set up.
Yeah. So when I started out, it was all organic for me. I was on the hunt for organic leads because I didn't have, you know, I was broke. And the only paid ad campaign that I could do with a partner wasn't working. It was yielding no results. So I was it came out of desperation almost, just hunting. How can I source leads without spending money? That I don't have any money to spend. I got to make something happen. So I just started to hunt. I was looking at FSBO sites, which are terrible. Don't do that. Unless you have some way to scrape it and you have a VA to do that. But I was doing FSBO sites. I was doing cold calling, driving for dollars, bandit signs, like everything under the sun. So I was just trying everything. I even did LinkedIn at one point and Instagram, and I was trying everything. And as far as groups go too, targeting for groups, I was posting in real estate groups at first. Like real estate groups and FSBO groups. And then I just started posting in random groups that just got a ton of engagement. Some of these groups have 250,000 people in them. So I'm like, you know, just play the numbers game. Let's post and see what happens. And none of that worked. So it was just continuing to test until I found out what groups work. And for me, the real estate groups were terrible because you find nothing but other wholesalers and agents in those groups, and it's not good deals. So the types of groups that I decided to focus on were just community-based groups, local groups.
Okay, and that's kind of, you know, where you found your niche. And so fast forward to today, what's kind of the current structure that you have with, you know, with your team and you guys being 100% kind of virtual? How does it look like right now in terms of your virtual wholesale operation?
Yeah, man. So once everything clicked, I was still lone wolfing it, but I was getting deals and I was making money and everything was going a lot better for me.
Hmm.
So I was digging it, but I was still putting in a lot of hours. I was still putting in like 60-hour plus weeks.
Yeah.
And I got to the point to where I got my wife to quit her job and she was going in on it with me. And I'm like, we're doing virtual deals. All we need is the internet and we can go live anywhere we want. And that's when we first decided to travel. We sold everything that we owned, fit the rest of what we owned into backpacks. My daughter was 4 at the time, and
Wow.
we flew over to Rome and we lived in Europe for 6 months straight while doing virtual deals in the US.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was amazing. It was super fun, but I regret how much time I burnt over there because I was still working a lot of hours, more hours than I would have liked.
Yeah.
Lone wolfing, it's a tough way to go about it, you know. So about halfway through my trip in Europe, I started to build teams around this process. So I was living all over Rome, was in Prague, Croatia, France, so the southern coast of France, and then Paris. So I went all over when I was over there, and it's a blast. But once I started to build teams around the marketing process, I could spend more time enjoying the time over there. Because the first couple months it was a struggle, it was a hustle. It wasn't
Yeah.
until I discovered to building teams around this process that you get the time freedom in addition to the good lead flow. So I started to find people that would use their own Facebook accounts to post on my behalf. You know, if
Mm.
you have 3 or 5 people that are using their own Facebook accounts and posting for you and just looking for deals, well, almost like virtual bird dogs, then
Yeah.
this thing really starts to scale. You can do more deals and less time goes into it. Because let's face it, organic marketing still costs. It may not cost money, but it
Sure.
costs time. So
Yeah.
you just have to make the decision, is it going to cost your time or is it going to cost somebody else's time, somebody else that you can pay in order to get that time back? So I made that
Right.
shift, and now I just manage my managers and they run the company for me, and I help other people do the same thing. I help other people achieve that goal of hiring teams, hiring commission-based setters to work for you and start posting in groups for your behalf or on your behalf.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So your managers are the ones that actually close on the deals, and your setters are setting the appointments for them. So like, or sending the leads over so they can actually get the contract on the acquisition on the dispo side.
That's it. So think of your acquisition manager. Their job is only to negotiate with sellers and get sellers to sign on that dotted line. And I think a lot of people mess this up because they have their acquisition manager doing too much. They're doing administrative work. Maybe they're doing dispo too, which is super, but don't do that. You got to
Yeah.
keep those things separate. And sometimes they're sending them out to properties to go look at the properties and go take pictures, and there's just too many roles. For me, an AM means you're just on the phone closing deals and doing follow up. You're a closer. And I want your calendar completely full. So I'm going to build a team of appointment setters underneath you to keep your calendar booked. So they're going to be out hustling. They're going to be getting the appointments. The appointment setter set the appointments underneath an acquisition manager, and then that AM gets the deals closed. So you got the closer and you got the appointment setters.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's awesome. Cool. So if somebody is interested in kind of, trying this avenue around Facebook group marketing, what would be some maybe top 3 tips that you would give them as they kind of start looking into this, or maybe things to avoid doing perhaps that may be a waste of time?
Yeah, for sure. So number one is make sure that your Facebook account is at least a year old. Because if it's not at least a year old, you could end up getting that account shut down, and it's a big waste of time. So the other thing is you want to make sure that you're obeying the speed limits. Facebook has an algorithm that really looks for bot behavior. So they're looking for things that will flag you, and you can end up in Facebook jail. Because getting put in Facebook jail sucks. It kills all momentum. You know,
Yeah.
you can't post for up to 2 weeks straight. Sometimes I've even heard of people where they couldn't post in groups for an entire month.
Wow.
So you got to obey those speed limits, or else you can get your account even shut down, or at least blocked from groups for some time. And the rule of thumb is 13 actions. An action is either joining a group or posting in a group. but you got to keep that number below 13. If you're going to join groups and post in groups on the same day, join 6 and post in 7, but don't exceed that speed limit. Over time, that could be pushed. I've heard of people doing 15 posts a day, maybe even a little bit more, but it starts to get risky, and you got to slowly work your way up to that. So that's number one. And then when searching for groups, don't be looking in the wholesaler groups and the investor groups or the FSBO groups. Just look at local community-based groups. I can't give too much information beyond that. I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but
Sure.
Obey the speed limits, avoid real estate groups. Those are the biggest things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kyle, appreciate it. And if people want to connect with you, maybe get your help in implementing some of these same principles, to scale their organic marketing via Facebook groups, where would be the best place that they could reach you at?
So I've got a free training. It's called 3 Secrets to Getting Deals Out of Facebook Groups. So 3 secrets of getting those deals, and it's botfox.net, which is my website. So if you go to BOTFOX.net, that will take you to, it's almost like a webinar, but it's you just get to watch it instantly. You don't have to sit there and wait for a timer for 15 minutes. Yeah. Just get right in, start watching the training, and it gives you some insights on how to use these groups and how to leverage these groups. Also on my website is a link to my Facebook group. Now, inside my group, I do training on a regular basis. I had you on there doing some training, and that was awesome. We had some good response on that. I have experts coming on every week, giving some good information. I have giveaways that I put up on a regular basis. So definitely a quality group to get a lot of free training.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll put a link below so people can connect with you via botfox.net for the free training and also for your free Facebook group. So Kyle, appreciate you joining us. And if you like this, make sure you put #housebuyingmachine. Kyle, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Subscribe now.